Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the journal awareness and basically the civics part. Alright? So far, whatsoever we had covered about the organs of the central government and other provisions related with them. Alright? Basically, in this lecture, what we are going to start? We are going to start a very important lecture and a series. Okay, so basically, what we are going to discuss in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the Constitution of India. That's what we are going to discuss about the Constitution of India. All right, if you remember, when we were discussing about the central organs, or you can say the central government organs, so in that provision we had come to know about the constitutional provisions, right? Constitutional provisions. So what do you mean by this constitutional provisions? It means the provisions which are mentioned in the constitution. All right, and as we know by the general awareness of ourselves that India having a constitution. All right, and in competitive exams which you are going to face, constitution related questions are oftenly asked. Okay, that's make this topic very important to be covered about. All right, so with this note, this is the topic we are covering, and let's start. All right, so basically, as I have told you, we are going to start the discussion about the constitution, right? That's what we are going to discuss in constitution part. Basically, first we have to start with the constitutional definition. It's the first part. Second is the constitutional features. It's the second part. Third is the constitutional borrowings. Is the third part. All right. So we will cover them one by one in this ongoing lecture. All right. So let's first start. I hope that you have revised the previous lectures so that you are able to connect the points together. All right. So let's start. Constitutional definition. Okay, when we talk about the constitutional definition, actually I'm not specifically talking about the Indian constitution. Okay, almost every democracy in the world, democracy means where the government is selected by people and responsible to people. Okay, that is the democracy. All right, as you know, in India, almost after every 5 years there is a general elections held. Okay, in which most of you and most of your family members, friends, relatives generally go to the voting areas and vote for their favorite candidate in the election. All right, so what does it mean? It means the election candidate whom you have voted is going to be the part of the government. So it simply means that the government is selected from the people. Me and you select the government. Okay, so that they could discharge their responsibility towards the people. All right, so this system is basically known as the democracy. All right, and the democracy is generally fueled by two types of constitution. The first is the written constitution. Written constitution. Like in India, we have the written constitution. Second one is the unwritten constitution. Okay, so these are the two types of constitution we have: written constitution, unwritten constitution. Okay, in India, basically what we have a written constitution. This is the part of India. All right, and generally in the reference of unwritten constitution, we basically take the reference of United Kingdom. So basically in the terms of written constitution, everything and every set of rules is basically written down. Okay, you can say it's a generally a guidebook. Okay, so when we talk about India, so basically in India we have a written constitution, which means that every action of the government is pre-planned, or you can say every action which is government going to take is basically pre-planned as per the constitutional provisions. Okay, only some little bit changes could be made. The presentation of bill will be the same, the passage of the bill will be the same. Okay, other aspects of the things will be the same. Okay, so it means it's a pre-planned, but how they are doing it, it's states here somewhat innovation and simplification. All right. Secondly, if we talk about the unwritten constitution, in that type of constitution, basically the parliament has the power to carry out the actions. Okay, how the things to be done decided by the parliament. All right, they having some liberty in taking of actions because there is no guidebook or written constitution. Okay, so it's just an overview about the constitution. Almost every democracy in the world having the constitution, whether in written form, in the unwritten form. In written form, the constitution having the supremacy. In unwritten form, generally the parliament or the government has the supremacy. Got it? Now, come back to the topic. Okay, so basically a constitution is a foundational set of rules and principles. It means that it is basically a guidebook. Okay, every set of rules and principles have been mentioned in the constitution. Okay, governs nation structure, government and citizen right. As I have told you, almost every action of the government is pre-planned. Okay, every rules and procedures have been listed out in the constitution. Whenever the government and governance, and you can say any legal part or the authority in India going to do anything, they are basically following that principles which are already mentioned in the constitution. Okay, but the only difference is how they are performing it. All right, it forms the basis for a country's legal and political system. Okay, political means how the government will take actions. What do you mean by legal? But okay, remember I had told you, or if I've never told you, then I'm told you right now. The custodian of the constitution. Who is the custodian of the constitution in India? So the answer is Supreme Court. Please keep this thing in your mind. Supreme Court is basically the custodian of the constitution. Okay, how I'm saying this? Basically, it's having the power of judicial review. It means that if the government has taken any action, they have passed any law which is in offend with the general rights and the constitutional provisions, so the Supreme Court could take the judicial review of that particular action or law, or could declare it null and void. Okay, so that's why it is known as the custodian of the constitution. As far as the fundamental rights, which is the part of the basic structure of the constitution, so basically in that scenario we have the two main articles. It's somewhat of a revision also, 32 and article 226. Now it's on you. I'm giving you 6 seconds to think about and then tell me article 32 states what and 226 states what. So your time starts now. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's 5. That's it. So now it's a time for the answer. Article 32 basically stands for the Supreme Court. 226 is basically stands for the High Court. Okay, so basically if anyone feels that his or her fundamental rights have been deprived of, then the person could reach the Supreme Court under Article 32 and High Court under Article 226. Alright, so remember these points. Now I hope you have been cleared about legal and political system, structure, government and foundational set of rules and principles. Alright, so this is clear. The constitution is clear. Now let's move forward. Thereafter, we have to talk about the constitution features. Okay, so when we see the first feature, basically we have to deal with the length. Okay, constitutional length. Let me tell you one thing. Largest, or you can say longest, or you can say lengthiest written constitution of the world is Indian Constitution. Okay, Indian Constitution is the largest, longest, or lengthiest, whatever you can say, written constitution. All right. So when we talk about the constitutional features, it's very obvious that we have to talk about the length. Okay. So in length, we have the first point is the lengthiest constitution. The Indian Constitution is recognized as the longest and most extensive constitution worldwide, comprising 395 articles and 12 schedules. Okay, so remember this point. It is the lengthiest constitution in the world, written constitution. Second, in the term of length, we have the post 1951 additions. Okay, but here is something which I would like to remind you. All right, that was the year of 1946 when the cabinet mission came to India. Okay, and who were the members of cabinet mission? There were three members whose name was Patrick Lawrence, A.V. Alexander, and Stafford Cripps. Okay, these three were the cabinet member of British Parliament. They came to India in 1946 under the cabinet mission, and thereafter Constituent Assembly was formed. Okay, so please remember, in 1946 the Constituent Assembly was formed by the cabinet mission through their three cabinet members, Patrick Lawrence, A.V. Alexander, and Stafford Cripps. Okay, now second thing is that I'm generally giving you the timeline. Okay, please remember this timeline. It was the time of December 1946. What happened during this time? This time, first meeting of Constituent Assembly was called. Okay, so remember, on 9 December 1946, first meeting of Constituent Assembly was held. Okay, thereafter, on 13 December 1946, what happened? Objectives and resolution was, or you can say were, accepted. All right. Thereafter, on 24th November 1949, what happened? Final draft of Constitution was prepared. All right. So remember these details. Now, on 26th November 1949, okay, 1949, what happened? The Constitution was ready. All right. Thereafter, 24th January 1950, what happened? The Constitution was signed by the members of Constituent Assembly. All right. And the sixth one is 26 January 1950. Constitution was implemented. Got it? So this is the timeline which I have shared you, or you can say these are the important details which we should keep in our mind. Okay, so let's start with the beginning. 1946 cabinet mission was came to India. 3 cabinet members were Patrick Lawrence, A.V. Alexander, Stafford Cripps. Constituent Assembly was formed. Okay. On 9 December 1946, the first meeting of Constituent Assembly was held. On 13 December 1946, objectives and resolutions were accepted. It means that what are the objectives behind making of constitutions? What are the resolutions which we are required to be accepted? Okay. And this formed the base for preamble. Okay. Preamble of the Constitution. About it, we will have a discussion in this upcoming lectures. All right. On 24th November 1949, final draft of Constitution was prepared. Okay. Thereafter, on 26th November 1949, the Constitution was ready. On 24th January 1950, the Constitution was signed by the members of Constituent Assembly. And on 26th January 1950, Constitution was implemented, and this is known as the Republic Day. Got it? So please keep this thing in your mind. All right. So post 1950 additions, since its adoption in 1951, approximately 90 new articles have been introduced and more than 100 amendments have been made to the Indian Constitution. All right. Approximately 19 new articles have been introduced and 100 amendments have been made to the Indian Constitution. Why? Because in the previous lectures also I had told you we got independence in 1947. We got independence in 1947, and if we compare that year to today, there are so many changes which have been changed not only in India but also in the world. Okay, because of this, time to time, in order to get ourselves updated to the world, we have to introduce and changes some things. Okay, so please remember this thing also. Now, thereafter, we have the integration of amendments. What do you mean by this? Notably, these additional articles and amendments are integrated into the existing framework of the Constitution rather than being introduced as separate standalone articles. All right, like if you remember when we were discussing about the DPSP. Okay, so you have counter the articles like Article 39, Article 39A. Okay, similarly, like we have the Article 43. Okay, and Article 43A. All right. So, what have you seen here? That's the main question. Article 39 is basically deals with the distribution and you can say resources approach. In DPSP, you can go and revise them. This is about the resources. Okay. Whereas 39A, it's basically talk about the free legal aid. All right. So there is a total change in the Article 1 and Article 2, but the number is same. Okay, similar with this, similar with this. All right. Because of this, and I'm not going to tell you about this because I have already told you about this. You can go and check. Okay. So due to this, what I'm trying to say, thereafter, the amendments or changes which we have made in the articles time to time have been integrated and introduced in the existing framework of the Constitution rather than introduce them as a separate standalone articles. Okay, we introduced the free legal aid under Article 39A rather than introducing the total new article. All right, so remember this thing. It is a part of length. All right. Thereafter, total article count unchanged. How? Total article count unchanged despite the numerous addition and amendments. The total number of articles in the Indian Constitution remains the same. Okay. What I'm trying to say. Suppose we have the Article 39. In 39, we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, we have E, we have F. Right? In the DPSP, I had told you about this. Okay. Similarly, when we introduce Article 39A, okay. So again, 39 count is same. All right. So here you can say 39, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. So there must be 39 to 47 articles number. But there are only 39 number. It means that all the other provisions and articles have been integrated into the already existing schedule, which make the total count same. Like whenever you open the constitutional book, you may not find the 47 number, but you will say 39 A, B, C, D, E, F, smaller, 39A capital. Got it? So that's why the total article count, you can say almost is unchanged. All right. So remember this thing also. Okay. Now let's move forward. Okay. So in features, second topic we have is the drawn sources. What do we mean by the drawn sources? It's a diverse sources. Basically, in the previous lectures, I had told you in Constitution, basically when we talk about the Constitution, in the making of Constitution, we have taken the help of three things. What are these? A, B, and C. The first one is the British rules and policies. Second is the borrowed things, and third is the newly introduced provisions during assembly existence and after it. Okay, so these are the three things of which help we have taken. First is the British rules and policies. All right, we know that the Britishers were ruling India. India was the colony of them. All right, so basically during their course of rule and course of, you can say, during their kingdom in India, they had make several rules and policies in order to govern the Indian continent, Indian subcontinent. Okay, so basically when we start making the Constitution, some of their rules and policies we have taken as it is. All right, so that's why British rules and policies having their great significance in the Indian Constitution. Got it? Thereafter, second thing, we have the borrowed things. Okay, apart from British rules and policies, we have borrowed some provisions and you can say some policies of the foreign constitutions. Okay, about this we have a discussion in this upcoming lectures. All right, third is the newly introduced provisions during assembly existence. It means that when the assembly was there, the Constituent Assembly was doing its function, during that time, basically, we had introduced some facts which we didn't find in British rules and policies and the borrowed things, or you can say we found them, but they were not as we wanted them. Okay, so that's why the newly introduced provisions during assembly existent. Okay, and after it means after implementation of the, or you can say enforcement of the constitution, we have make some changes also. All right, through the amendments and newly introduced articles. So that's why these three things all together comprised make the sense of the constitution. Okay, borrowed rules, sorry, British rules and policies, borrowed things, newly introduced provisions during assembly existence and after it. Got it? So remember, drawn sources means from where we have drawn the sources to make the constitution of our. Okay, and there are diverse sources as I have shown. Okay, these are just a column. British rules and policies, there are so many things. Okay, borrowed items, there are so many things. Newly introduced concept during assembly and after it, there are so many things. Okay, that's why these are the having the diverse sources. So you can say the Indian Constitution draws its foundational elements from a variety of sources. Okay, as per our need and suitability. Got it? Now there is a one thing which I will tell you. If you say there are diverse sources, okay, it means that there are so many things from where we are borrowing this and we are discussing this. Okay, so what is the criteria to accept it? The criteria was very similar that the criteria we have today. It's like introduction of provision, introduction of provisions. Second is discussion on them. Okay, third is making improvement and required changes. Okay, fourth is voting for acceptance or resistance. Okay, so these were the 4 steps which are very similar to today's. Okay, so first, introduction of the provisions. If someone want that this should be included in the Indian Constitution, so he or she is liable to present this before the assembly, because I am talking about the time period when the constitution was forming out. Okay, so they are required to introduce it to the assembly. Okay, introduction of provision. Thereafter, the assembly members were starting discussion over it. So many things were discussed, their provisions and consequences existed or in future. All right, thereafter, making improvements and required changes. If means that the provisions was not suitable as per the discussion formed out, so there must be some changes and improvement has to be introduced in the provisions. And the fourth one is waiting for acceptance or rejection. It means that after all the things, all the members were voting for it to decide whether it should be accepted or rejected. Okay, so similar thing is very similar. Same thing is very similar in the today's scenario. First step is introduction of the bill. Second is discussion. Third is improvement. Fourth is passing, and fifth is president assent. Okay, so these kind of things were very similar. So students, basically in this lecture we have completed till now. We will stop here. Okay, in the next lecture we will continue from the same. I hope that you have been able to understand the facts and figures so far, whatever I am telling you. If you are not, then kindly re-watch the video, revise the facts and figures properly, and then you can have a proper command on this lecture. Okay, so with this note, let's end this lecture and say thank you.